Hello and welcome, lovely listeners, to episode 62 of the Best Games Period. I'm your host, Jack Gardner, and with me this week is Daniel Jones. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing. I've got some allergies going on, but otherwise I'm all right. Well, I did have somebody hit my car today. My parked car.
That's right. We've been talking for like half an hour before we actually started recording. Totally forgot that you had told me your car got hit.
Yeah. Want to hear that story?
Sure.
All right. So I work for a bank.
Yep.
I work in the security department. My office is in the basement of the building.
Your building's Batman.
Uh-huh. Yeah. My partner and I sit down there. We have our desks down there. We're the only ones. It's kind of fitting. We're totally okay with being in the basement. And I'm sitting there, I'm listening to my podcasts, I'm waiting for something to happen. That's kind of what our job is. We just wait for something to happen, and it appeared something happened, because Wendy, my partner, just suddenly, got up and started sprinting for the door. I'm like, that's unusual. So I followed her. And
No, you just let her go. Let her go.
So I followed her. And she was in we have a branch in that building. It's not just corporate. It's not just our corporate office. It's our main branch. And the drive up is off the back of the building. And she was in the drive up talking to a teller. And they're like, oh, yeah, a customer told us that somebody hit a black car in the parking lot. Which I have a black car in the parking lot.
Uh-oh.
So we went out and looked at my car, and yup, sure enough, it was my car. And my car was totally, so when we do the mail also from the basement every day, so we go and drive to the post office and pick up the mail and bring it back and disperse it to whoever it goes to. Dispense it to all the departments. So that takes about half an hour of our day, but it's a thing that we do, and then so they let us park in the front of the building by the drive up when we do that. So I parked in the front of the building by the drive up. Front of the parking lot. It's the back parking lot, but it's the front of the back parking lot. Whatever. So this girl, really, she wasn't there anymore. So she drove off after hitting my car. Which it's hard. You got to be real dumb to hit my car where it was, because it's not really close to the drive. It's not in the way. It's not like oh my God, how has your car not been hitting yet? Hit before. And
she really had to work on it to maneuver her vehicle into yours.
So what happened, we looked at footage, and this girl was going to use our ATM, but a teller was in the ATM at the moment, balancing it.
Wait, what do you mean in the ATM? Like physically in the ATM, trying to balance it out?
The ATMs have kiosks. The drive-up ATMs, most of them, unless they're built into the building, which most of ours are not. I wish they were, because the kiosks are a pain in the ass, but they're not. So they have these kiosks which are in the third drive up lane typically.
Okay.
And so this girl went to use the ATM, but a teller was in the kiosk, and when you go in the kiosk, you render the ATM unusable, because you push a button and the ATM physically not retracts. What's the opposite of retracts? Out.
Subtracts?
Out of the kiosk. So.
Why didn't she use one of the other ones?
We only have one ATM. The other drive-up lanes are for the tellers.
Gotcha.
So.
I mean, she could have just gone up to the tellers.
She totally could have, but,
Do people really hate interacting with people at banks that much?
Maybe. She realized she couldn't use the ATM, so she backed up. And you don't have to back up that far
to
get out of there.
Yeah.
But she backed all the way up to my car
Oh.
and into it. And fast. And she was driving a crappy little Honda with a crappy custom green paint job and no rims and tinted windows and a sunroof. So it was a very distinctive car. But on our cameras, we weren't able to get the license plate. Because
really?
the camera... we could see the license plate, but the camera isn't... The camera quality isn't high enough to zoom in and get to read that license plate from that far away.
Now, on the scale of things you'd want in a camera at a bank, like, wouldn't you want a camera that's good enough to see the license plate of a car?
Yes.
You know?
We're working on that.
Okay.
But actually, the funny thing is the cop that I talked to today that's helping me with this, actually told us that aside from Stop and Shop, the local grocery store, our cameras are the best in the city. And so Wendy and I were just like, wow, that's pretty bad.
Oh.
So they're good enough to get an image of the car and a good image of the people, but
not
getting a license plate from a camera that's on the top of a building and probably 50 to 60 feet away from the actual car and the actual license plate, like reading those letters from that far away is not possible with our cameras.
Look, Daniel, all I'm saying is if we have the technology to put a man on the moon, we have the technology to make bank cameras that can read license plates.
Listen, all I'm saying is those cameras are expensive. And
a camera for every bank.
They don't all work like the Bourne movies where it's just like, oh, zoom in on that one. Oh, that little newsstand in the mall, that's got to have a really good camera. Zoom in on that one.
Look, I'm not saying we need NCIS cameras here where you can just say enhance and they become enhanced. I'm just saying we can do like a couple steps down from that.
All I'm saying is it's actually a lot easier to get away with robbing a bank than it should be. But you didn't hear that here.
That, from everything you've told me, that is very true, actually.
Yep.
This has been best bank heist period.
So then this lady drives, she hits my car, she gets out of her car, looks at her car.
Oh, no!
And the bumper is like falling off now because she hit me so hard. And I have an SUV and she has a crappy little Honda. And so she looks at her car, gets back in her car, doesn't look at my car at all, and gets back in her car and literally sits in our drive-up, blocking it completely. Luckily, nobody came up, but blocking it completely for a good minute and a half, just sitting there thinking probably, like, what should I do? And then she decides to just drive away.
Oh my gosh! So you totally left that out of the story when you told it to me earlier today.
Oh,
I didn't know it was like that premeditated. Like she had time to think about it. I was imagining like it was just like a bump, and she felt a bump and then just like continued to drive away.
No.
I didn't realize she stopped and was just sitting there thinking about, should I go? Should I stay? Should I leave a note? What do I do? I'm just gonna go.
Yep. So, but then the worst thing is actually the best for us is that she actually drove to a business right behind us and parked and went and did something. And my maintenance guy, Justin, who works for our department, was there and he saw the footage. He watched it with us. And then he went to a hardware store, which is right across the street from the business that's right behind us. And he saw the car. He's like, oh, crap. That's the car.
Yeah.
And so he wrote down the license plate. And he saw her walking back to the car. Confirmed, yep, that's the lady that was on the camera. Wrote down her license plate and gave it to the cops when I gave them the statement. So they have her license plate. And they ran it and they matched it to the car.
That's amazing.
They called today. So she doesn't own the car. I don't know who does. Probably her parents or somebody like that.
Oh, so she was pretty young, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more understandable, I guess.
It is.
Little
Doesn't make
bit.
me
Not much more.
Pissed off about
Just
any
a little
less
bit.
pissed off about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
that was my day. That was, yep.
You know what else has a lot of car accidents and a lot of general mayhem as it relates to four-wheeled vehicles?
What?
A little something I like to call, and a lot of people other than me like to call, Super Mario Kart.
Hey, we haven't even said what we're talking about this episode.
Yeah, so in case you didn't read what the episode is, we're talking about Super Mario Kart this week, which plays perfectly into Daniel's daily tragedy of carness.
Yep.
Words are hard, we are both tired, but we are soldiering on just for you, listener. Just for you.
Alright, you're listening to the Best Games Period. We're going to be talking about Super Mario Kart on this episode. A game that I think both of us have fond feelings towards.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
It's fair to say that. And, well, wait. So, first off, every so often it's nice of us to, clarify what our show is about. Basically, we are talking about what constitutes a best game, period. What belongs in the canon of great video games or greatest video games of all time. Where is the line between something that is merely a good game but doesn't transcend into a greatest game? And so there can be a lot of best games, period. We've done a lot of shows by now. There are a lot of really good games out there that don't quite make the cut, and then there are a fair number of absolutely fantastic games that probably everyone should play, at least if they want to understand games as a medium and what they mean and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So, sorry I interrupted you, Daniel.
No, that's fine. With that being said, it's kind of a flexible list. Part of it is that we like to involve you, the listeners, and every week we post a poll on Facebook and on Twitter. And guess what, Jack? Last week when we discussed Shadow Complex, Shadow Complex was voted a best game period by Twitter.
Okay.
But not by Facebook. And
should we just count that as overall?
Overall, it would have still lost very badly.
Okay.
Facebook's poll was incredibly lopsided.
Well, so when we read it off, should we distinguish between Twitter and Facebook?
Probably not. But
okay.
Last week I didn't have a Twitter poll, so you just I tried to just skate by and pretend that wasn't a problem, and you're like, what about the Twitter poll? And now this week you're like, can we just pretend the Twitter poll didn't exist? Well, which do you want, Jack? Which do you prefer?
Let's just talk about poll as if it were one poll. We'll crunch the numbers, Daniel, and combine the two polls.
I only have one poll.
What? Oh. Combine the two polls, Daniel.
So, anyway, this week we're talking about Super Mario Kart. And, I mean, Jack, what do you think of Super Mario Kart? Super Mario Kart came out in 1992.
Yep. And
it was one of the early Mode 7 scrolling games on Super Nintendo, which basically Mode 7...
Are you asking me a question, or are you getting into the history?
I'm getting into the history. I skipped right over your thoughts on it because so Mode 7.
That's not how questions work, Daniel.
No, it's not. Mode 7 scrolling was basically Nintendo's way to make the Super Nintendo look a lot more technically advanced than it actually was. With Mode 7 scrolling, you got things like F-Zero, which I think was the first Mode 7 game. And then you got
Star Fox,
Super Mario Kart. You got stuff like Star Fox and Doom. But also, I remember the Star Wars games utilized Mode 7 scrolling.
Oh, yeah. The Empire Strikes Back had a really sweet... Had the Battle of Hoth you could wrap around AT-AT.
Yep. Yeah, Super Star Wars had an awful tattooing, sand speeder thing going on. It was awful.
Yeah.
So, But I would probably argue that Super Mario Kart is the most successful use of Mode 7 scrolling.
Really? Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. F-Zero is pretty good too. But
Well, Star Fox.
I don't know that Star Fox is actually Mode 7 scrolling.
Was it not?
I don't think so.
What was it?
It utilized the FX chip, which was a different thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because that
That's right.
was like the polygon. It was like polygonal.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, so it was different. And also Star Fox wasn't scrolling at all. It was all, you were always going in one direction. You know what I mean?
It's a weird word.
Yeah.
Polygonal.
Polygonal? I don't know.
Who knows? No one knows, listener. No one knows.
So now I would like to ask you, Jack, how do you like Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart? When did you first play Super Mario Kart? Did you play it before or after you played other Mario Kart games?
I played it before. Like, I remember as a kid, like, my cousins had a Super Nintendo, and they, like, every time I went over to their place on the holidays, we'd be playing something that, like, I didn't have, like, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past we played, but Mario Kart was, like, one of the favorites. And honestly, like it is today, Mario Kart has always been, like, a great party game. Just the kind of game where, like, people can come in, they immediately grasp the concept.
Yep.
And it's fairly simple to play. Stay on the track, try and get first place. That's about it.
Yep.
Like, the controls are pretty simple and easy to understand for kids or people who don't game all that often. There aren't a whole lot of obscure rules or, like, weird traditions like wall chicken or, like, things like that. So...
Say what now?
Like wall chicken?
What is wall chicken?
Like in Castlevania, you can like find random chicken legs in the wall.
Okay.
And they like restore your health. Like, yeah, you
I was
like
not thinking along those lines at all. Okay.
What'd you think I meant?
I didn't know you were suddenly talking about Castlevania. You were talking about Mario Kart. Then all of a sudden you're talking about Castlevania and chickens in the wall.
Well, that's exactly what I mean. It's like so random. Why would you even leap to the conclusion that there might be chickens in the wall that give you health? Like,
is wall chicken a term that I've just never heard before?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't feel like you need to have heard it before to understand what a wall chicken is.
I thought you were saying checking at first, like wall checking, like in Super Metroid, where you're like checking walls with bombs to see if they have openings.
You're right. I need to enunciate better. Wall chicken.
No, I think you enunciated it fine. It's just I couldn't believe you were saying the words wall chicken.
It makes sense. But
right.
that confusion perfectly encapsulates what I mean by Mario Kart doesn't have anything that's super weird like that.
Right.
It's pretty self-explanatory from the green light get-go.
I mean, it has stars that turn you invincible, but those are concepts that were already introduced in the most popular games in the world to that point, the Super Mario Brothers games. Yeah, Super Mario Kart was the first game that I ever... was the last game that I ever played often with my dad. But it was Super Mario Kart, and I think we played some Mario Kart 64, but I think he preferred the simplicity of Super Mario Kart. We would play that a lot, and 2-player. That was a lot of fun. He's never been able to like get into 3D games, like truly 3D games, but that game we had a blast with, and of course, like I always beat him because But one of the things about Super Mario Kart is that that people don't really talk about. Over the years, that franchise has become a little more, almost more accessible for large groups of multiplayer and casual players, because the rubber banding has become more and more pronounced as the series has gone on.
Rubber banding.
Yeah,
what is that?
In that, like, there's chickens in the wall, you know? No. In that, like, you can get an item that suddenly, you know, boosts your chances at getting to number one.
Right.
By, you know, 100% or whatever. And the Super Mario Kart relied a lot more on your skill. Like, if you were really good and you knew the tracks really well, you had a much better chance of winning those races and not getting knocked out of first with a red shell or anything. And I think that's because of the coins on the ground, which is a thing that future Mario Karts just completely dropped altogether.
Yeah. No coins.
The coins that make you just a little bit faster every time you get one. And they're hard to pick up. Like, you got to run right over them, and they're not always where you would be driving. So you have to kind of go out of your way to get them sometimes. But they do help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that game established a genre that had never...
Did it establish the genre, or was that F-Zero?
No.
Because this was originally intended to be a follow-up to F-Zero.
Yeah, it was.
It eventually got brought around to being a little bit more family-friendly, I guess? Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah. People don't say, oh my god, Sonic and All-Stars Racing is so inspired by F-Zero.
That's true. There had been other racing games, but this was, I guess you would say, a little bit more of a subgenre. Like, it is a party racing game.
They call them kart racers. It's a kart racing game.
Kart racer. Yeah, that's a better phrase for it. The actual phrase for the genre.
We're professionals here.
Sure we are.
You know, I was just thinking, we were talking about Dark Souls before the show.
Yeah.
I want a Dark Souls kart racer.
Oh, I don't even know how that would work.
I think that would be great. I think it would have to follow some of the rules of Dark Souls. So, like, if you get hit with certain items, and, like, maybe you die. Eventually, after getting hit enough times, you die, and then you go back to the bonfire, and you have to start over and beat your original self to get your souls back. That sounds great.
I'm trying to imagine what that would even look like. I'm kind of thinking it would be like the giant bobbleheads. Like, do you remember there's Star Wars Episode 1 Racer?
Yeah.
I think it was on PlayStation 1.
Yeah. No, that
was Dark
on...
Souls characters with big bobbleheads.
It was on PS2, I think.
Was it on PS2?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That game was awful.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I ever even played it, but I remember the box art very well because it was just awful.
It just had a big head Darth Maul on it.
Yeah. Look it up. It's seriously one of the worst pieces of box art I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, God, it's so bad.
Hey, everyone. Just have to make a little editorial note. The game we are talking about is actually called Star Wars Super Bombad Racing for the PlayStation 2. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is actually a pretty neat racing game. So, just want to put that out there. Don't want any confusion. Check out Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Do not check out Star Wars Super Bombad Racing. Two totally different games. Anyway, continuing. Dark Souls Racer.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 idea. Make
Thank
it
you.
happen from Software. I know you're working on a new IP.
Maybe that's it. No.
Start a petition on change.org to get Hidetaka Miyazaki to direct Dark Souls Racer.
Absolutely. I mean, they need to just follow the Naughty Dog model of doing like 3 games and then a racer.
When was the last time they did a racer?
Well, alright, so they didn't do one for
Uncharted Racer?
But they did it for Crash, and then they did it for Jak and Daxter. Alright?
Oh, okay.
Alright.
Fair enough.
So yeah, what are some of the disciples?
Jak X, by the way.
Jak X Racing, right.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh, I don't know, I never played it.
Yeah, me neither.
I played Crash Team Racing, and that was
Yeah,
fun.
everyone played that game. That was like a poor man's Mario Kart.
Yeah.
64.
Yeah. But anyway, before we go on to the influences of Super Mario Kart, let's talk a little bit more about Super Mario Kart.
Yeah.
How do you think it holds up now, Jack? Now that franchise has gotten to Mario Kart 8, which I think a lot of people will tell you that's the best Mario Kart game.
There are some people who say it's the best game available on the Switch.
Wow. Whoa.
Shout out to Jim Sterling.
Whoa. And, even I'd say other franchises have maybe improved on that formula in some ways, like the aforementioned Sonic and All-Stars Racing, which I really enjoy, and I would like to see another one of those. But, this Super Mario Kart is now, you look back at it, it looks so antiquated compared to what we have now. So how do you think it holds up today?
I think the best way of judging that is seeing how kids today react to Super Mario Kart, because this is, playing it now just feels like it's not 100% meant for me, right. If that makes sense. Yeah. So I watched my nephews playing it, my nephews and my niece, and they had a blast with Super Mario Kart. And I'm talking about the old one, because they have it on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And they love it. They love playing Super Mario Kart. And they're not great at it, but they have a lot of fun racing around these tracks, even if they aren't pro. They aren't going MLG anytime soon. Let's just say that. But they're having a lot of fun with it. And so there's obviously something there that transcends just having access to the shiniest tools and the best hardware. There are mechanics in this game and in the aspects of the presentation that just speak to people on a fundamental level. My nephews aren't super old or anything like that. They're 5, 6, 7. And so they love this game. For my part, I think that a lot of the future Mario Karts do Mario Kart better than this, if that makes sense. And that might seem like a really obvious duh statement, because obviously games that are iterating on this subject are probably eventually going to get better. But iteration isn't always a guarantee of success. You can see that in the Madden franchise or any of the sports franchises. There are ups and downs for a lot of things that go through iterative processes.
Right.
But it seems to me like Mario Kart is one of the most successful franchises to iterate, because almost every single game is very well received and very well loved and has its fans and detractors.
Yeah.
So I think this game still holds up. The question for me when I think about Super Mario Kart for the purpose of this show, is it a best game period, or is it a great game? Because it certainly has contributed to gaming history, but I also think that maybe if we're looking at which one should be a best game period, maybe it should be Super Mario Kart 64.
Oh, man.
Because that's the game that introduced 4-player racing. You can't do that in Super Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And that is, if we're looking at it as a party game, having 4 players being able to drive around at the same time, and also having things like the battle mode, 4 people at a party having fun is way better than 2 people at a party having fun. And I just think if we're looking at it as a party racing game, Mario Kart 64 introduces all the elements that make it work so much better.
I find myself agreeing with you, but I also want to
Yeah, by all means, defend Super Mario 64 or Super Mario Kart.
I will, because I think when you look at Super Mario Kart, all of the building blocks were there right from the beginning. Instead of 4-player, you did have 2-player, and that was kind of what they could do on the Super Nintendo. There were 2 controller ports, and with the Mode 7 scrolling, there was no way you were gonna be able to fit 4 players on the screen and have 4 screens doing that all at once.
Right.
But all of the other elements that make Mario Kart are there. There is a battle mode. And it's not the same as the later ones, and Mario 64 in particular, I think, is kind of the quintessential battle mode.
Uh-huh.
But Super Mario Kart had it, and it set it laid the groundwork for that. It had everything from the way you turn around corners to boost your speed.
Yep.
It had a lot of the same items that you can still find and still get in Mario Kart 8 were in Super Mario Kart. It had the banana peels, it had the oil slicks, some of these items have not continued, but some of them, it's sort of like a fighting game, like they cycle it in and out for different iterations. They had the oil slicks, they had the green shells, they had I don't think they had the red shells in Super Mario Kart, but I can't remember.
I think they might have. Yeah, they did. They definitely did.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had the star.
Yep.
They had a lot of the same tracks that you see later in the franchise. Like, they just remade a lot of the same tracks from Super Nintendo, from Super Mario Kart. Granted, there weren't as many tracks. Again, it's kind of like a fighting game franchise. Like, Street Fighter 1 had only a fraction of the fighters that you will find in Street Fighter 5, but at least you didn't have to pay for all of them. But, like, it's all there, The essence of Super Mario Kart is still there, and it's still a lot of fun. Like you said, your nephews had a blast playing it, which is really cool to hear. I don't have it for my Super Nintendo, but I definitely do want to get it at some point for my collection. And I could see that being a game that Quinn and I play a lot. I feel like if I sat her down in front of Super Mario Kart, she would be able to grasp that a little bit quicker than she would be able to grasp Mario Kart 8. Granted, that game has a bunch of assists in the options that you can turn on, which is cool. But to just play Super Mario Kart, I think she'd be able to do that before she'd be able to do Mario Kart 8. There's just a lot more variables and things that can go wrong in Mario Kart 8 with a little kid.
Right.
So that's still valuable to me. And the fact that it was that Mode 7 scrolling, and it was on the Super Nintendo, and it still looks... It doesn't look like crap.
It looks nice.
Right.
Let's not go overboard. It doesn't.
No, I wasn't gonna say that it looks great, but it doesn't look like crap. Like like a game like that could easily look awful now. I mean, look at the Super Star Wars games. Like, those games don't actually look very good, especially in the Mode 7 areas. But Super Mario Kart still looks good enough to play, and works.
But I do have to say, hashtag not my Donkey Kong.
Hashtag not your Donkey Kong.
Hashtag not my Donkey Kong. He's not like the Donkey Kong in Super Mario Kart. Looks nothing like any other Donkey Kong that you've ever seen in any Nintendo game.
Well,
outside of like the very, very first one.
Now I need to look this up.
He's got like a straight white face and like reddish fur.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. He's even on the cover.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Hold on. Well, that's the cartoon. That's the cartoon version of him. But in the
He's
game,
also wearing
he
like
looks...
a white tank top.
Yeah, because he's racing.
He doesn't wear a tank top when he's racing in any of the other games. I'm sorry, but this is hashtag not my Donkey Kong.
It wasn't the rare version of Donkey Kong. So he looked a little different. Listen, Jack. It's fine. I never had a problem with how Donkey Kong looked.
Well, that's because you were all about that Diddy Kong.
I was all about Yoshi, actually. Thank you very much. Yoshi was my main squeeze in Super Mario Kart. I love the sound effects. And let's talk about sound.
Let's talk about sound.
Super Mario Kart still sounds great. Can you agree? You disagree? Wow. Wow.
No, I don't disagree. It's just I wouldn't say great. The sounds serve their purpose, I guess.
Maybe I just hear nostalgia when I hear the noises.
And see, that's probably that's part of my problem, because I'm trying to separate the nostalgia I feel for this game from like how I feel it should objectively be viewed, or
right.
as objectively as I can. Like, taking that nostalgia out of the equation for this game is one of the harder things. It's one of the hardest things to do when you're talking about a game that has persisted for so long, or a game franchise that has persisted for so long, because your feelings for the characters from other things that you have liked kind of carry over into your assessment of that thing.
Sure.
And so that's part of the reason why I earlier was saying, maybe this is just a great game that has aged well, but maybe it's not the best Mario Kart. Maybe we should be talking about Mario Kart 64. I mean, because I think, like, objectively, I think that game delivers more on the premise of what a party racing game does, or should do, I guess.
If we're doing a versus episode of Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart versus Mario Kart 64,
is that what this is turning into? Because that's kind of what it feels like.
Well, because if you're saying that we can only have one Mario Kart game in the best games period canon, which I think is complete bunk. I don't think that's the way it should work. Because personally, I think if I were to name games from that franchise that should be a best game period, it would be Super Mario Kart for importance and setting the groundwork for that franchise and subgenre, and also for being as fun as it still is, and also Mario Kart 64. I would put them both in. But you're saying we can only have one, so if we can only have one, then that's a different conversation.
I think you're right that Super Mario Kart does do a lot of heavy lifting to establish the franchise and like some of the main aspects of the franchise. But
could straight them right.
But I think that Mario Kart 64 actually is the one that delivers on the promise of all of those things and takes it from being confined to just 2 people, expands that to 4 people. And I think that's really valuable. We were talking about Crash Team Racing for a little bit. People bought an extra accessory just to play Crash Team Racing with 4 people.
Right.
It was like a splitter that allowed you to plug in 4 extra controllers.
Yeah.
And maybe they had that for the Super Nintendo. I don't think they did.
I mean, even if they did, they didn't have... It wasn't compatible with Super Mario Kart.
Yeah. So, when you take into account that Mario Kart 64 was pulling all that stuff into 3D, yes, the technological achievement of Mode 7 was really, really important. But I think that also translating that into 3D and having it still be a viable, exciting, fun experience, but now that one that can be shared with 4 people, or shared with 3 people, I think that's that to me. That is like part of the core of what makes Mario Kart Mario Kart. So I don't know. Are we at an impasse? Are we like?
I think so.
This is not planned to be a versus episode. Do we want to make this like just full on versus episode? Do I need to start ripping on Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart, to tell you why it's not the best?
Do I need to start ripping on Mario Kart 64?
I mean, we can get into this slugfest and just duke it out.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I can't really say anything bad about Mario Kart 64 that I couldn't also say about Super Mario Kart. You know what I mean?
See,
there's nothing Mario Kart 64 does worse than Super Mario Kart.
You might have just made the fatal argument against Super Mario Kart then, because Mario Kart 64 delivers on all that premise plus extra people. And like when I was sitting down and playing this game, or watching my nephews and niece play this game, one of them always had to sit out because there are 3 of them.
Yeah.
And imagining if they were all able to play together at the same time.
Get that kid a tackle box instead of an Xbox, and he'll be just fine.
Can I just say that is one of my favorite anti-gaming memes?
It's the best because it's almost turned into a positive gaming meme at this point.
But, so, yeah, this really took a left turn.
It did.
Without a signal. It was very surprising. But Mario Kart 64 wins?
Gosh.
And it also has the superior version of Donkey Kong. Oh my gosh. I just realized that's not Donkey Kong in Super Mario Kart.
Wait, what are you talking about? Yeah, it is.
It's Donkey Kong Jr. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but no.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, but wait a second. Huh, yeah. But here's the thing. The Donkey Kong Jr. is the Donkey Kong from Donkey Kong Country.
Oh my gosh!
Donkey Kong Country's Donkey Kong is the son of the Donkey Kong from the Miyamoto arcade games.
Did he just drop the junior? Are you allowed to do that?
I mean, he's the Donkey Kong at that point, you know? He's heir to
I think
the
we
throne.
went over this on the Donkey Kong Country episode, but is Donkey Kong a title?
We have such incredible in-depth conversations about the lore of Donkey Kong on this show.
So is his first name Donkey?
Yes. Yeah. Because there's Diddy
but
Kong
it's also,
and Cranky Kong.
But it's also a title.
What?
But it's also a title.
What do you mean it's a title? Yeah, just as your name, Jack, is a title.
Wait, so is Cranky Kong a nickname? Is that the real Donkey Kong? I thought I had this all figured out at some point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cranky Kong is a nickname, because that is the original Donkey Kong.
Okay.
But he's
and
old
so
now.
then Donkey Kong just dropped the junior and became Donkey Kong.
Exactly.
But then Diddy Kong is a different species of, like, monkey. So he was, like, adopted into the Kong family?
Probably, sure. We don't talk about it, though. It makes him feel bad.
Okay. My mind just got blown, like, 5 times.
So what I'm saying is...
Wait! Hold the phone.
What?
Hold the phone. I'm sorry, I have a Wikipedia tab open at the moment, because I've been looking at it just as reference for Super Mario Kart. I changed over the tab to look at Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bio of Donkey Kong Jr. But, so underneath his image, there's full name Donkey Kong Jr., right?
Yeah.
Following me so far.
Correct.
Under that it says species. Guess what species he is?
Marsupial.
No. He's Kong. Kong is his species. That's like me calling myself Jack Human. What is up with this game? Like, the lore of Donkey Kong just like gives me stomach ulcers because it's insane.
I don't know what to tell you. It's
I thought I knew my place in the universe, and it is just upended.
so that would explain Diddy Kong then, and also Dixie Kong. When you think about it, Dixie Kong is not the same kind of monkey as Donkey Kong. So
No, they're all Kongs. That's their
right,
species.
they're all Kongs. They're not monkeys. They're not gorillas. They're not apes. They are Kongs, and there is a wide array of types of Kongs. So there you go. That explains it.
Are they like the alien, and in that they like adapt to whatever situation they're born into?
Listen, they're like people.
Different...
Look, some alien from outer space comes and sees me standing next to Dwayne Johnson. He's going to be like, "You're not the same species." And I'm going to be like, "Yeah, actually I am. Thanks, but I'm the same as him. I'm just scrawny and he's a demigod."
No.
Also
I'm sorry. It's not
sing.
like the difference between them is just one's scrawny and one's not. Like, they have different numbers of appendages.
One wears a hat, the other wears a white tank top when he go-karts.
One has like an extra no. One of them is clearly an orangutan. Okay? I'm sorry. But they're all the same species though. That makes no sense. Anyway, sorry, Mario Kart. We're not getting into Diddy Kong Racing here. Focusing on Mario Kart.
Which is the kart racer that has not held up, by the way.
Really? There are some people who argue it has.
Oh my god, no. I
haven't played it.
I went back and replayed that game all the way to the final cup a few years ago, a couple of years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
It has not held up, in my opinion. But anyway,
what makes it sloppy?
It's just the controls aren't as tight as like Super Mario Kart. Because I also played Super Mario Kart 64 at the same time, back three or 4 years ago, and the controls are so much tighter. Like you just feel more in control of what's going on.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing feels so slippery, and especially when you're driving the hoverboard, the hoverboats, and the planes. Oh my god! Don't even. Nah, awful. Just awful. The boss races are still kind of fun, but they're problematic because sometimes those bosses are huge and they get in your way, and it's like, hey, get out of my way. But anyway.
Okay.
So, Super Mario Kart. Is it a best game, period? Alright, so, let's just do this. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 64 or Super Mario Kart? Which is the best game, period?
Which one? It's got to be Mario Kart 64. Like that's the game that delivered on all of the promise that Super Mario Kart showed. It has all of the same features, but with the crucial addition of being able to play with 3 of your friends instead of 1 of your friends. And I think that ultimately is what contributes to this series' longevity, because people can get together with all of their friends and gather up all their nostalgia and have a great time for however long they play.
Yeah. I hate to do this.
I'm sorry.
But I agree. Mario Kart 64 is the best games, period. And if I have to only choose one, that would be the one. Gah! Now, to be fair to other entries, later entries in the franchise, we did not discuss those. But if I had to choose one between the first 2, between Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario Kart, I would choose 64.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah. Which one, out of curiosity, which one would you say is the best in the franchise?
Probably Mario Kart 64.
Okay.
personally, but I haven't played many of the other ones. I've played Double Dash. I've barely played a little bit of 8, and that's about it, honestly.
Okay. I do really like Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yeah, it's good.
I like having the two racing character mechanics. I think that's fun.
It adds a bit of strategy, but doesn't overwhelm you.
Yeah,
it works.
and it's nice as like a feature in just one of the games, because that I don't think ever comes back.
No.
But yeah, Mario Kart 64, I think, is the surprise winner tonight. Neither of us. I didn't plan on bringing it up, but wow.
Yeah.
This took a turn.
That game is just so smooth, and it really is the perfect refinement and evolution of what Super Mario Kart did. Like the Rainbow Road track in 64 is just the best.
Yeah.
And I mean everything. The Arctic track is perfectly slippery, just as it should be. But it's also like still fun. It's great. We didn't really talk about that game enough to tell you just why it is so great, but it is really, really great. Just everything that Super Mario Kart does, Mario Kart 64 does better. And then some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot.
Sorry, Super Mario Kart.
We didn't start this episode with planning for that to happen, but it just kind of happened.
Yep.
All right, so we will be putting out a poll this week. It will be, it'll be a versus poll, I guess.
I have to imagine that this is going to be one of the more divisive versus things that we've done, because I can see a lot of people going for both.
I think this will be contentious. We're going to get a lot of, wait, what? What did you guys do?
Now, I'm curious what you think. Should I put this as just best game period Super Mario Kart, or should I put it as straight up a versus? Should it be like secret versus? Or
well, yeah, I think it should be just Super Mario Kart, and then it just has a twist ending. Because it's not structured like a straight versus episode.
No,
it just kind of ended up as one.
Yep.
Okay.
All
right.
Sweet.
It's the M. Night Shyamalan of podcasts.
Let's wrap it up then, I guess.
This episode's actually a sequel to our Donkey Kong Country episode. You just didn't know.
Which also had a sequel.
What?
Is this the end of the Donkey Kong trilogy? Because we had the Donkey Kong Country episode. Actually, no. This is a quadrilogy now. Because we had the Donkey Kong Country episode. Then we had the versus episode between Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3.
Right.
Then we had the deathmatch episode that was Braid versus Donkey Kong
where
Country.
You broke my heart.
Where we knocked out Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is capper to it. This is the coda on the end of that.
We just never need to... We can't talk about Donkey Kong Country ever again, because that will mean that we're slowly turning into the Desolation of Smaug and the Battle of the Five Armies. And you really want to cut off after The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. So every week we post the best games period every Monday on community.extra-life.org. Jack, can you tell everybody about Extra Life?
Yeah, it's an awesome charity where you get to play games and also help kids at the same time. It's really awesome. You can head over to extra-life.org to learn more or sign up and register. It's really fantastic. When you register, you can actually choose which Children's Miracle Network hospital you want to support, and 100% of all the money you raise goes directly to that hospital to help sick and injured kids. So you know where it's going, and you get to play games and raise money. It's a so many wins. It's a win, 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 win. You're always winning. You're sick of winning.
I'm so sick of winning. And if you are not sick of winning, you can listen to more of the winningest podcast on the Citadel. Nope, that's not how this works. The Best Games Period, where we post every Monday, like I said, on community.extra-life.org, on Game Informer online. We also post on iTunes and SoundCloud and Libsyn, our hosting site. You can find us on iTunes and give us a review. We would love that. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/bestgamesperiod. You can also find us on Twitter @bestgamesperiod. And if you would like to get some exclusive content, you can throw us $1 on Patreon, patreon.com/bestgamesperiod, where you will get an exclusive episode every week where we will be putting out a preview of that exclusive content with a special episode coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that on your podcast feed.
Don't promise an extra episode. It's an extra episode for the next 12 weeks. We're doing a mini series pilot podcast spin-off.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about the best game movies period. So, yeah, we'll be putting an episode out via our normal channels this week.
Just a preview.
It might already be out by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
And then we'll be posting those every Saturday. That's kind of tentatively when we're going to be putting those out. But they will, after the first one, they will only be listenable on Patreon to our $1 subscribers or more.
I was doing so well with that rundown, Jack.
You really were.
And
you were on fire.
You just ruined it.
I did. I blue shelled you.
You blue shelled me. Exactly. You big jerk. All right. Jack.
Daniel.
Thank you for joining me tonight on this topsy-turvy, windy rainbow road of an episode. And
there you go.
Thank
you. Brought it home.
Thank you, good listeners, for joining us for episode 62 of the Best Games Period. Until next time, we will see you all on the Flippity Dippity.
We kept this episode tight.
We did. Yeah, good job.